Giant's Eye columns was reading people in Chengdu, has a wife and a concubine. Concubine name Ho, Ming Jiaozhao small capacity. His wife had died, and continued married. Shen Shi, Shen's jealous nature. Ho abuse, but also involves Shi columns. Shen's noisy all day, the family often cannot be quiet. Shi columns furious, ran away from home. After she into the list to go, Ho gave birth to a son called Big Man. She columns never came back, it squeezed applicants Ho, and would not let her eat together, calculating the day to give her food. Big Men gradually grew up enough money. Ho spun the line to subsidize home. See the big male private school kids chanting, "I want to go to school, mother," because he is too small, tentatively sent to probation. Large very clever man, read a book several times by other children. The teacher was surprised his talent. He is willing to not charge tuition. Ho let big men are taught to read, give a little remuneration. This went on for 2 or 3 years, a large male student through the scriptures. Home from school one day, the mother said, "Private school where 5 or 6 people are related to the father to buy bread to eat. Why do I have no father?" His mother said, "When you grow up, they tell you." Big man said, "I was 7 years old, when will it grow?" The mother said, "You go to school to private school, on the road past the temple, should go and worship Guan, and begged him to bless you grow up faster." I believe the big man, and every time have to go through worship Guan temple. Mother knew, and asked him, "What is your prayer?" Then a big man said with a smile, "I just pray that he makes me next year will grow to 6 or 7. Mother laughed at him, but the big man's body together academic and rapid growth, grow to 10 years old, like 13 or 14 children. 8-legged essay could have been written into the articles. One day, the big man said to his mother, "Once you say that I grew up, where my father was told, now I can." Mother said, "It is not the time, not the time." It took more than a year. A large male has grown up. His mother asked more and more frequently. Ho will be great detail account of what happened. Large very sad man, it is necessary to look for his father. Ho said, "You're too young, your father is dead or alive, how can all of a sudden you find it?" Big men do not speak left. Noon did not come back. Ho to the school and asked the teacher, he knows his breakfast and did not come back. Ho was shocked, pay someone around to look, but neither hide nor hair. After the big men and go out, they go down the road, but unsure of where to go. Just met a man going Kizhao, surnamed Jin, begging all the way to the big men behind him. Qian Mao complained that he is too slow. He hired a horse for him, to spend the money. To Kizhao, they eat together. Qian Mao secretly poisoned food, a little big man was not aware of. Qian Mao took him to a temple, falsely said to his son, and occasionally ill but no money for treatment, wanted to sell the monks of the temple. Seeing men monk looks luxuriant XIUE, racing to spend money on him, Qian Mao got the money and left. Monk feed him water, big men and little wake up. After the elders know the situation came to visit and found him strange looks, then slowly cross-examination, did not know the truth. Elders sympathized with him, gave him some money to let him go. There Luzhao scholar surnamed Zhang, exam go home, the way to understand the situation and ask the big man, praise his filial piety, so she took him to come along. To Luzhao, big men on when the housekeeper at the Chiang family, more than a month's time, he asked around. Some people have a last name. She speaking of Fujian businessman, big men and by Yang scholar Zhang bid farewell to Fujian to go. Chiang scholar gave him clothes, shoes, neighbors also gather money to finances. On the way, the big man met 2 cloth merchants, to go to Fujian, invited him to go together. Gone some distance, cloth merchants glimpse into the pockets of big men and money. He will be lured to a place where no one, his hands and feet tied up, took off his purse and ran away. When Chen Yongfu happened to pass by here, loose tie for him, bring him home with the car. Chan Wang very rich, mostly businessmen from various quarters under his door. Chan Wang asked the businessman always on the move on behalf of she visits news columns, leaving a big man to accompany his sons to school. Big men and they live in Wang Chen, is no longer around to look, but the farther away from home, the audio will be more shut up. He's Horong, a man living 3 or 4 years. Shen's deduction of the cost of her forced her to remarry. Ho will never waver. Shen's forced to sell her on the Chongqing businessman. The businessman Ho forcibly taken away. In the evening, Ho knife and cut. Traders did not dare to persecute her, waiting for her wounds healed. He gave her sold Yanting businessman to Yanting. Ho knife stabbing the pit of the stomach, and even internal organs were exposed. Businessman was terrified for her before putting the drug. After a good long round, Ho requirements become a nun. Businessman said, I have a business acquaintance, no sex life skills, often looking for someone to do housework for him, and this is no different when the nun. Can I buy you a little compensation money? Ho agreed. Businessman Ho car will be sent. A door, the owner welcome out, turned out to be she columns. It turned out that she has a column abandoned Confucianism business. The businessman did not see his wife, so the Ho presented to him. The two meet, shocked and sad, each describing the anguish. She columns began to realize that there are a son looking for his father had not returned. She columns will entrust dear passengers, help messages asking big man. The Hezheo Rong will become a concubine wife, but Ho through difficulties in physical health, not housework. I would advise she columns concubinage. She columns evil view of the foregoing, does not allow her request. Ho said, if I were to compete for joy bed sleeping mad of people, for several years already married life child, how could you do today besides others upon me pain? My heart aches so. How will the pain inflicted upon her and repeat it? He asked she to the column and then partner. He bought for a 13-year-old concubine. After 6 months, his partner and she bought a concubine. Door saw that it was Shen's wife. The two sides are very surprised. Previously, Shen's a person's life more than a year. My brother advised her to remarry, but Shen's agreed. Just because the family estates she Jai is a nephew of the block cannot be sold. Shen's put something of their own to sell. The accumulation of several hundred pieces of silver brought back his brother. There is a Bareilong businessman. I heard that Shen's dowry is very rich. They use a lot of money to bribe Shen, but the applicant's home to marry earn. But this businessman old and waste. You cannot lead a normal married life. Shen's brother complain. Do not feel at ease at home. They clamor is hanged of Shia Ajing. Kick up a row at home. Businessmen angry, her money plundered in an instant. She sold her concubine, but people are to her age too. Businessmen going kiss how, so they took her to travel together. She met in the business columns, just very Italian businessman. He gave her leave to sell. Shen's eyes see the columns, but also ashamed, but also afraid to utter a word. She asked column's partner, know about things, then said, if you come across a robust man, we'll remain in Bareilong. We would not have a bidet, which is the life from me, but today I buy concubine, not a wife. You can first see Zhao Rong as a concubine. Salute to his wife. Shen Shi feel very ashamed. She columns said, did you do when the wife had? How a Ho persuade she columns, but she columns do not agree, forcing Shen's handstick. Shen's forced to Ho line ceremony, but Shen's always bothered to serve Ho, only do things in another room. Ho all forgiving her, she could not bear to blame her lazy or diligent. She Zhao Rong and columns often talk drinking together, let standing next to serve Shen Ho to use instead of the maids, would not let her come. Chen Yanting just isn't to win the magistrate. Small disagreements will occur. She columns and villagers, local people on the ground to force his wife to wife told she in a column shape. Chen Si were inadmissible, a local people rebuked away. She columns very happy being praised. Chen and Ho secretly magistrate kindness. More a day later, a servant came to a sudden knock on the door, came in the report, said, County magistrate came. She columns was very surprised, and hurried to find clothes and shoes, and the magistrate has come to the bedroom door. She columns more panic. I do not know how to do. Ho closer look, hastily Ying Chu said. My son are having 2 tears. Chen magistrate also lying on the ground crying bitterly. The original big man and follow Chen Wang surname Chen, already when the Shangwen. At first, Chen went public official's gun, passed through the home, to know 2 mothers have remarried, the reigning Fu Shong and cry bitterly. Shi family who know that the great man has dignitaries, put the house back to him usurped land. Chen believe public servants often take care of. I hope my father can come back soon. He accepted appointment to Yanting official, want to give up the office to look for his father. Chen Wang hard to persuade, it stopped him. Exactly a fortune teller, the public Chen told him to do the math. The fortune teller said little made a big, young elders do get woman looking for a man, find a person get two people an officer of Geely. Chen then took to the public, because no family is found, during an official non-stick meat wine. On this day, received the plaintive local people. She saw the name of a column, hard to have doubts. He secretly sent home visit servant then probe, it really is his father. He Chen's is travel incognito, see his mother. The more he believed a fortune teller efficacious, Chen left his father when public house, asked not to preach, to come up with 220 silver, their father repairing the pack to go home. She columns returned home, I saw a new look portal, the family has a lot of cattle and servants, we have a pack of seeing Shen's arrogant rich man, more self-restrained. Her brother Shen Bud angry, reported to his official position to compete for the sister of the wife of entropy. Officers find out the truth, angrily said, covet the property, to persuade sister remarried, has replaced two husbands, would face issue position to compete for the year will be heavily hit Shen Bud meal. Since then, the size of the birthright more determined. The applicants recognized as a sister Ho also look at her as a sister, clothes and food, not selfish. Ho began to fear when Shen's revenge, now more ashamed regret. She columns have forgotten the applicant's previous wrongdoings, let people outside the family home also called her mother too, but the official patent life failed to get her up. Different she said reverse beings, incredible, God has done what a clever she columns cannot be self-sustaining between wives, just a mediocre mediocrity nothing. If it is not like the big men like dutiful son, Ho Yin mother like this, how could this have a fantastic combination? He will never reap richer.